Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akiam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Alright, this is Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And today, through the Spirit, I'm going to read and break down Ecclesiastes 2. As we know, written by King Solomon, the wise King Solomon. Let's go ahead and start at the top. It says, I said in mine heart, go to now. I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also is vanity. Alright, so the scriptures tells us that King Solomon was the most wise man to walk the face of the earth. And for him to come to this conclusion, is something that we should take heed to and understand. And you could have all the pleasures in the world, but it's all, at the end of the day, useless. Okay, that's what vanity means. It says, I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? Like, what good is all this, What good is the laughter and the mirth? I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly. Salakia, let me change this stupid ass song. Change it up on me. Alright. I sought in my heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. Right, so it's like he was putting it all to a test, to see what was the purpose. What's the best thing to do while you're under the sun, right? It says he gave his mind to wine, which wine is a metaphor for doctrines. So he gave his mind to this truth, and he acquainted his mind with wisdom. Okay, and that's really the whole purpose of man. Especially the Israelite man, the ones who are the hopeful elect, is to set your sights on this truth, on this wisdom. It says, I made me great works, I builded me houses, I planted me vineyards, I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kind of fruits. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle, above all that were in Jerusalem before me. So he had it all, basically, King Solomon had pools, he had orchards, he had gardens, he was planting trees, he had servants and maidens. And by the way, it brings me to the point where, to be blessed, people walk around talking about they're blessed. Being blessed actually goes into, when you go into the fullness of it, it goes into having slaves, having servants, okay? So if you're sitting here running around telling people you're blessed, but you don't have no servants, you don't have slaves working underneath you, working for you, serving you, then you by the true definition of being blessed, you're not blessed, okay? Now we're blessed to be the servants of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, but the true blessing in its fullness is having, actual servants and slaves underneath you. Verse 8, it says, I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I gat me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men, as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. Okay, so he had entertainers, he had silver, gold. So he, King Solomon basically had everything that you could want, that you could desire. It says, so I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me, you see. So even though he had all the riches of the world, and he had it, basically Solomon had it going on, man. He had wisdom, he had all the riches, he had anything you could think of that you would want. It says so, and it was more than any other Israelite had.
So right? I was great, and increased more than all that.
Let me see, Salakia. It says, and whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor. And this was my portion of all my labor. Right? So everything he desired, everything that he saw, that he wanted with his eyes, he got it. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. You see? So no matter him having all those things, right? Material things, physical things, women, he had it. He had everything, right? He says it was still vanity. It was still a vexation of spirit, right? Because you have all that, and then you got you as a man, you sit there, you have all these material things, which that brings forth women, right? But what does women bring forth? Women bring forth trouble and problems and a vexation of spirit, right? You get vexed dealing with a woman. Even the wife you love is going to give you some type of vexation in your spirit, And sometimes she's doing it on purpose. Sometimes she doesn't even know she's doing it, right? And I turned myself to behold wisdom, meaning to look at wisdom, and madness and folly. What can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath been already done. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness, right? And the wisdom is the light, So this is something that we're very lucky to be a part of, that Yahweh has given us this ministry, this knowledge, this truth, right? He brought us into his marvelous light, right? Let's get that in Peter. Because this is the only thing that's not, vanity, is having this knowledge, having this truth. We know that it's worth more than silver and gold, and exceeds all precious metals and jewels. There's nothing like this truth, to have this truth. This is what's going to bring us salvation, is because why? Because we have wisdom. 1 Peter 2:9, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, talking about the Israelites, nobody else. It says, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. And how did we obtain mercy? Was through Yahweh Shai. Okay? Because the Most High, Yahweh was so pissed off at the Israelites, he basically casted us away for a time, Go read Hosea. It tells you that in Hosea. That's why he renamed one of his kids Lo Ami, meaning not my people, right? But we've been reconciled through the blood of Yahweh Shai, reconciled with Yahweh. It says in 14, the wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, that this also is vanity. Right? So the fool and the king and the fool, when a fool is a non-believer, it's going into vanity because, the end result is that everybody's going to die, right? Whether you're the king or whether you're that foolish non-believer, And we fast forward to this time, that not everybody is actually going to die, right? Because we're in a time of prophecy where, and remember, King Solomon, he was the same spirit, the same soul in the reincarnation, the regeneration as Yahweh Shai. So as when he was on the earth as King Solomon, he was saying, look at the fool and the whether you're the fool or you're the wise or you're the king, you all have the same fate, right? You're going to die. But then when he came back as Yahweh Shai, what did he say? He said, there be some here that shall not die. I'll grab that, but let me read verse 16 first. It says, for there is no remembrance of the wise man, of the wise more than of the fool forever. Seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man as the fool, right? So both fates are ending with death, right? And it even goes to say, you get forgotten. There's no remembrance, right? Whether you were wise or you were a fool, after a certain period of time, everybody is pretty much forgotten, right? Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit, right? And he said hated life because, let me grab this, Ecclesiastes 1:18, because of this. I'll start at 17. And I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is a vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. See? So that's why he made that statement that he hated life, because he was so wise. He understood he understood everything. He understood the fate of fools. He understood the fate of kings. He understood the prophecies, he understood all of it. So when you have more wisdom, and you have knowledge increasing, so does your sorrow and your grief. It increases because you see, you know what it is. But at the end of the day, we rejoice because we know that, if we keep enduring until the end, that we're going to be saved. We're going to receive salvation through Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says, therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yea, I hated all my labor, which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. And I always thought about this, because this is and remember, he was the most wise man that walked the earth, so what he was saying was always on point, okay? You think about it, you can apply this to people or people you've seen, or people in your own life. You see that when when a man dies, another man, is left for another man after him, right? Whether it's your son, whether it's if you pass away. I seen this with my family, with my mom and dad. When my father passed away, well, guess what? My mom was, when she was trying to be with another man and courted by another man and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you see this dude, the new dude, he's the one who's living in the house that that your dad had established, and so on and so forth. This happens all the time. So we toil all under the sun all these days, and if you die, well, guess what? Everything you had, someone else is left for somebody else behind you. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool, right? You don't even know who's going to inherit your whatever you leave behind. Is he going to be an idiot? Is he going to be a wise man? Then chances are in Babylon, he's going to be an idiot. He's going to be a fool, a non-believer, right? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored. See, so Solomon was deep. He was thinking 10 steps ahead of you, He's like, damn, could you imagine just sitting there looking at all your riches, looking at your pools, looking at your orchards, your gardens. You have all these things, all your women, you know what I'm saying? You have all these women, these badass women, fine ass women. And then thinking about, damn, when I die, who's going to inherit all this? Is it going to be a fool? Right? It says, yet he shall he have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored. Everything you worked for, it goes to someone else. And wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun, this is also vanity. So he was humble. He said, yeah, even me being wise is vanity. Because guess what? Remember what Yahweh says, my thoughts are higher than yours. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. You have, even Solomon in all his wisdom, you have to understand, he had earthly wisdom. I mean, he the Most High was dealing with him, obviously, but he didn't have, like a spiritual body. He didn't have a celestial body. He didn't have, he didn't have any of that. He was basically thinking like a man, thinking as a man, and he was the most wise man, but he didn't have that spiritual celestial body yet, which has a different level of wisdom, a different level of pretty much everything, right? It says, therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun, right? So even that stressed him out, having everything, because then he started thinking, well, damn, when I die, who's gonna inherit all this, right? All right, I'm gonna grab a precept here. The heck? Hold on. All right, that's weird. What the fuck? This shit's not working here. So, I was gonna, it says I'm not connected. What the hell? Connected? Fuck. So like, yeah, said I'm over here on my computer and it's saying that it's not connected to the internet. So, which that's bullshit. It's showing that I am connected. But, it just shows you, man, if King Solomon was, feeling this type of way, we know that this place is just pretty much vanity. When we're in the kingdom, that's when it's going to be popping. That's when it's going to be, better for us. Okay, let's see. All right, it was in Matthew. I just didn't know where. Matthew 16 and 28. I'll read 27. It says, "For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works." Right? He's coming in the glory of his Father because why? He's going to be eternal. He is eternal, And he also looks like the Father, right? Yahweh Shai looks like Yahweh. If you've seen the Father, you've seen, or if you've seen the Son, you've seen the Father. Remember when he told his disciples that? It says, "Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here, which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." See? So some of us are not going to die. And King Solomon, he was a wise prophet, so he understood this too. He understood he understood who he was in the spirit. He knew he had to come back as Yahweh Shai and be a sacrificial lamb, He was the wisest man on the earth. He had to have known, what was coming. It says, verse 19, and remember, vanity, it means useless. So let's read it. It says, "And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool?" Right, the one who inherits all your things, all your belongings, your women, your pools, your orchards, your gardens. "Yet shall he have rule over all my labor." Everything you work for, it's going to somebody else. "Wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity." And this is, reading this, it shows us just how lucky we are as hopeful elect. Because guess what? There's nobody going to rule over our things, because we're in the last days. We're in the time of salvation, right? Our salvation is nearer than we think, right? As it is written. Let's get that real quick. Romans 13:11. "And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed." All right. And if Paul was telling this to the Romans, the Israelites in Rome, how much more now? We're here in the extension of Rome, when we see all the end time prophecies manifesting. You see the World War III about to get mustered up for the battle, right? You see the RFID CHIP has been manifested, right? Revelation 13, right? All these prophecies are showing themselves. We're measuring the time diligently. That's how we measure that's how we know what time we're in, right? Let's get that real quick in 2 Ezra 9:1. "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Wherefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." Okay? "For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, the end is manifest," meaning the end is showing itself. And we can tell by all the signs around us, all these things that were spoken of in the scriptures by the prophets, and now here they are in these last days. And we're in the last of the last days, okay? Uproars of the people. Esdras, he had visions of these things. He had vision. He saw Babylon, America. He saw all the people protesting, right? He saw all the people around the world protesting all the different governments, people coming against governments and the rumors of wars, all these things were foretold in the scriptures. And now here we are playing it out, living in the last days, okay? And our salvation is nearer than for when we first believed. You see? And when did we first believe? All the different lifetimes, because we've been reincarnated, regenerated. We've always been a believer. If we're the elect, we've always been the elect. That's why it says the time when we shall be saved is nearer to us now than when we first believed, right? So, Solomon knew the prophecies, Solomon knew about the end all be all, the nuclear missiles. He knew about the microchip, Well, he saw the visions. He had visions. All the prophets, and sometimes maybe they didn't understand the visions or the prophecies, but now we're in the time where we understand it. But I would have to say Solomon, because that was the spirit of Yahweh Shai. He understood all of it, because let's get it real quick. I think it tells you in Wisdom of Solomon 7, I think, right? Wisdom of Solomon 7. Let's see, right here. It says, right up, this is King Solomon talking. It says, for he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made, and the operation of the elements, the beginning, ending, and the midst of the times, the alterations of the turning of the sun, and the change of the seasons. Okay? So King Solomon, he understood the beginning, right? He understood Adam. He understood the ending, which is now, and he understood the midst of times. He understood all the times. So he knew all the prophecies. And that's why he was sitting there with all his riches, like, man, this is all vanity. Someone else is going to inherit my stuff. Some fool, how do I know it's not going to be a fool that inherits all my belongings, everything I've had, everything I've worked for, my women, so on and so forth, So this is a waste of time, man. Solomon, you have to think he was probably like, dang, let's get to the kingdom so he can actually enjoy it for eternal, right? Ecclesiastes 2. So that's what it is, man. Vexation of spirit. The men who are in their right mindset, that's how we look at this life. We're like, yeah, it's all right. It's cool sometimes, right? But we're at the end of the day, we have our eyes and our spirit is fixed on the kingdom. Okay? So let's keep reading. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom, and in knowledge, and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil. Right. So he's talking about, just working for stuff. And we know that we're doing the true work, the work of Yahweh B'Shem Yashai. But, the labor that these other men do, it's really all vexation of spirit, because you could be, a man working your ass off, right, for everything that you have, building your own little mini empire here in Babylon. And then one day you just fucking give up the spirit, and somebody else inherits all the things you worked for. For what hath man of all his labor, and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yeah, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. So it's all useless. You work your ass off. You be stressed out sometimes. You can't even rest. Some of these men, because if you're not in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yeshai, these people don't get no rest. They go to work. They might have they might be a CEO of a company, but they lose sleep at night. They don't have no rest. They don't have no comfort, man. So it's vanity, useless. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of the Most High. Yeah, because any blessing we get, anything good that happened to us, it all comes from the Most High. For who can eat, or who else can hasten hereunto more than I? For the Most High giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom, and knowledge, and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail, to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before the Most High. This also is vanity and a vexation of spirit. Right? So the sinner who works hard and travails under the sun, they don't realize that everything that they're doing. So everybody outside of the elect, they're all a vanity, useless. Because everything that these people work for, everything they create, they build, the riches that they gather, at the end of the day, it's all going to be coming to the elect. The Most High is going to give it to, like it says here, but to the sinner he giveth travail, to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before the Most High. So yeah, that's the elect. The elect are going to inherit all of the things that you toil for, the things that you work for, the thing that you labor for. It all, at the end of the day, it's all going to come back to the elect. The elect is going to inherit. It says the earth is made. The earth is made for our sakes, and when it says our sakes, it's actually talking about the elect, the Israelites, the elect of the elect of the elect, right? Because you have the Israelites, then you have the elect, then you have the 144,000, the governing body. So there's levels. But just wanted to go in on Ecclesiastes 2, and just really the moral of the chapter. Hey man, everything on this earth is just a vanity, a vexation of spirit. It's useless. We're waiting for the kingdom, so we can actually rest, so we can actually live life, right? Because in this place, we're doing. The only thing that's not vanity, brothers, is the work that we're doing for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? Because that's what's going to, be our ticket for salvation, So just continue being diligent, continue doing the work, continue walking in the Spirit. And, Lord's will, we're all going to go up in those chariots and have salvation and be able to actually enjoy our lives. Okay? So with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakah, Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge Alakiam, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.